Okay, so I bet you're interested in mindfulness.
Yeah,
Maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed or just curious about all the hype. You know,
right.
it seems like mindfulness is everywhere these days. From celebrities to
Mhm.
CEOs, everyone's talking about it.
It's true. Mindfulness has definitely gone mainstream, but it's not just some new fad.
Exactly. It's actually an ancient practice
Uh-huh.
rooted in Buddhist traditions.
Mm-hmm.
But in the 1970s, things started to shift.
That's right. It was really John Kabat-Zinn
Yeah,
who kind of brought mindfulness into the mainstream when he developed mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR.
MBSR.
Yeah.
And that's when the research really started to take off.
Yeah, MBSR brought mindfulness into Western medicine and psychology, and it just exploded from there.
And now you see it everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
in therapy schools, even workplaces.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not just for monks on mountaintops anymore.
right. So it's not just for monks on mountaintops anymore.
Yeah.
But why is it so effective?
Right.
What's actually happening in our brains when we practice mindfulness?
Well, it all comes down to neuroplasticity,
Okay.
which is basically the brain's ability to change and adapt.
So our brains can actually change.
Yes. Mindfulness strengthens those connections that help us focus,
Okay.
regulate our emotions, and make better decisions.
So it's like a workout,
Yes,
but for our minds.
exactly. Like hitting the gym for your brain.
I like that.
Yeah.
And are there like specific parts of the brain that really benefit from this workout?
Yeah, there are three key players: the prefrontal cortex,
Okay.
the amygdala, and the hippocampus.
Okay. Let's start with the prefrontal cortex. What
Yeah.
is that exactly?
Well, you can think of it as the CEO of your brain. It helps you make decisions and control your impulses.
So instead of like mindlessly scrolling through social media for hours,
Yeah.
mindfulness can help you actually get things done.
Exactly. Prioritize what's important and, yeah, stay focused.
Less impulsive online shopping and more getting things done.
Mm.
Sign me up.
Mm.
What about the amygdala? What does that do?
That's like your brain's alarm system.
Okay.
It triggers that fight or flight response when we're stressed.
Oh, so that feeling of panic when you spill coffee on your laptop 5 minutes before a big presentation.
Exactly. That's your amygdala going off.
So mindfulness is like hitting the snooze button on that alarm.
That's a great analogy. Mindfulness helps us turn down the volume on that stress response.
Okay. So you might still feel the stress, but you're less likely to completely freak out.
Exactly. You're more able to stay calm and think clearly.
I like the sound of that. What about memory? Does mindfulness help with that too?
It does. The hippocampus is the brain's memory center.
Okay.
And studies have shown that mindfulness can actually increase the gray matter in this region.
So that leads to better memory.
Yes, better memory and learning.
So maybe I'll finally remember where I left my keys.
Yeah.
That would be a huge win.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the brain benefits, the focus, the calmer response to stress. But isn't there also this whole idea of like taming the monkey mind,
Right.
quieting that constant chatter in our heads?
You're talking about the default mode network, or DMN.
DMN.
That's the network that's active when our minds are just wandering, replaying past events, or worrying about the future. It's like our brain's autopilot, and it can be exhausting.
Oh, tell me about it. I feel like my DMN is working overtime these days.
Yeah.
So how does mindfulness help with that?
Mindfulness is like a mute button for the DMN.
Okay.
It allows us to step out of that mental chatter and choose where to direct our attention.
So instead of getting swept away by, anxious thoughts, we can actually choose to focus on something else.
Exactly. Something more positive or productive.
And that ability to choose, that's pretty powerful.
It is. It's a really powerful tool.
Okay. So we've got the brain benefits, the increased focus, the calmer response to stress.
Yeah.
But isn't mindfulness also supposed to be good for our physical health?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not just brains in jars, right?
Right. Absolutely. And that's what we'll dive into next. The effects of mindfulness go way beyond just our mental landscape. They have a profound impact on our bodies as well.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's unpack that in part 2.
So we talked about how great mindfulness is for our brains.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how it affects our bodies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, most of us are dealing with at least some stress pretty much every day.
Exactly. And when we're stressed, our bodies release cortisol.
Right, the stress hormone.
Right. And over time, that can really do a number on our systems.
Yeah, like sleep problems,
Mhm.
a weakened immune system.
Exactly.
So basically, chronic stress is the opposite of chill.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's where mindfulness comes in.
Okay, so mindfulness helps us counteract that stress.
Exactly. It's been shown to lower cortisol levels.
Okay, so less cortisol, more chill. But what does that actually mean for our health?
Well, studies show that mindfulness can boost your immune system.
Oh, wow. So we get sick less often?
Exactly. It can also improve heart health
Okay.
by lowering blood pressure and reducing the risk of heart disease.
Wow. So it's not just about feeling calmer. It's about protecting our health in the long run.
Exactly. And let's not forget about sleep.
Oh, yeah. A
Uh,
lot of people struggle with that.
Mindfulness can really help with that.
How?
It calms the nervous system and quiets those racing thoughts that keep us up at night.
Oh, you mean like when you're lying in bed and you just can't stop replaying every awkward moment from the day?
Exactly. If mindfulness can help me get some decent sleep, I'm all in.
Me too. But, it's interesting. Mindfulness isn't just about getting rid of the negative stuff.
Right.
It's also about building positive qualities.
Exactly. Like resilience.
Okay, resilience.
Bro?
Like bouncing back from setbacks?
Exactly. It's like strength training for your emotions.
Okay.
You're not masking the problem. You're actually changing how you respond to challenges.
So you're getting better at handling tough situations.
Exactly. And studies have shown that mindfulness can reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression.
Really?
Yeah.
Not just in the moment, but over time.
That's right. And that's a game changer for a lot of people.
For sure. It is. So we've got all these benefits, but how is mindfulness actually being used today?
Well, in healthcare, it's being used to help manage chronic pain
Okay.
and even conditions like PTSD and ADHD.
So it's not like a one-size-fits-all solution.
Yeah.
It's a really versatile tool.
Exactly. And it's not just for adults either. Mindfulness is helping students focus better,
Okay.
manage their emotions, and even improve their grades.
Wow, I could have really used that back in school.
Yeah. And then there's the workplace.
Okay. Because so many people are struggling with burnout these days.
Exactly. Mindfulness can help with that. It can help employees feel happier, less stressed, and more creative.
It sounds like mindfulness could benefit just about anyone.
I think so. But I know some people might be a little hesitant. There are a lot of misconceptions out there about what mindfulness really is.
Like, what are some of the common myths you've come across?
One of the biggest ones is that mindfulness is just about relaxation.
Okay.
Yes, it can lead to a sense of calm, but it's more about cultivating awareness of the present moment.
So not just zoning out
Right. It's about tuning in to what's happening both inside and outside at home.
without judging it.
Exactly. Another myth is that it's too time-consuming.
Yeah, a lot of people think you have to spend hours meditating to get any benefit.
Right. But that's not true. Even just 5 minutes a day can make a difference.
So it's about quality over quantity.
Exactly. And finally, there's the myth that mindfulness is tied to religion.
Oh yeah, I've heard that one.
But that's not the case at all. It's a secular practice that anyone can benefit from.
Okay. So you don't have to be Buddhist or anything like that.
Nope. It's
Yeah.
just about how the mind works.
Okay, so it's accessible to everyone.
Exactly. And to give you a taste of what mindfulness feels like, let's try a quick breathing exercise.
Okay, I like that.
If you're comfortable, find a seat and close your eyes.
I'm going to take a deep breath in.
And as you breathe out, let go of any tension you might be holding.
Just allow yourself to settle into this moment.
Now bring your attention to your breath.
Notice the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe.
You don't need to change your breath. Just observe it.
And it's perfectly normal for your mind to wander. Thoughts might come up or you might get distracted.
That's okay. Just gently bring your attention back to your breath.
This is the heart of mindfulness.
Yes. Returning to the breath again and again.
Training our attention.
And being present in the moment.
Now as you continue to breathe, notice any sensations that arise.
Maybe you feel the coolness of the air as you inhale.
Or the warmth of your breath as you exhale.
Just observe these sensations without judgment.
There's no right or wrong way to do this.
Just be kind to yourself.
And approach this practice with curiosity.
Now gently bring your awareness back to the room around you.
Notice the sounds you can hear.
Become aware of your body sitting here.
And when you're ready, gently open your eyes.
How are you feeling?
Hopefully a little more grounded and present.
Even just a few minutes of mindfulness can make a difference.
And the best part is you can do this anywhere, anytime.
Absolutely. You don't need any special equipment. You can practice while you're walking, eating, even washing the dishes.
So it's about finding those moments of mindfulness throughout the day.
Exactly. And the more you practice, the easier it gets.
So it's like building a muscle,
Exactly.
okay? So we've explored the science behind mindfulness.
Uh-huh.
We've debunked some common myths, and we've even tried a breathing exercise.
Right.
But where do we go from here? What are some practical ways to make mindfulness a part of our lives?
That's a great question. And that's exactly what we're going to explore in the final part of this deep dive. We're going to talk about specific techniques and strategies you can use to bring mindfulness into your everyday life.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. So we've talked a lot about mindfulness in this deep dive.
We have.
The science, the myths, even tried a little breathing exercise.
Uh-huh.
But now let's talk about how to actually use it.
Right, how to make it a part of your life.
Because it's one thing to understand it, but it's another to actually do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to focus on now.
Okay, so how can we integrate mindfulness into our daily lives?
Well, the good news is there are a lot of ways to do that. You don't need to go to a monastery or anything.
Right. It's not about sitting on a mountaintop.
No, you can find moments of mindfulness in everyday life.
So what are some examples? What does that actually look like?
Well, one common practice is formal meditation. That could involve sitting or lying down somewhere quiet
Yeah.
and focusing on your breath, or maybe doing a guided meditation.
And there are lots of apps for that.
There are tons of apps and resources available.
So it's pretty easy to get started.
It is, but mindfulness isn't just about formal meditation.
Right.
You can also be mindful during everyday activities.
Oh, like what?
Like walking.
Mindful walking.
Yeah. Paying attention to how your feet feel on the ground.
Okay.
Noticing the sights and sounds around you.
So instead of rushing around lost in thought,
Mm-hmm.
you're actually present in the experience.
Exactly. And you can do the same thing with eating.
Mindful eating.
Yeah. Really savoring each bite. Paying attention to the flavors and textures.
That's probably a good way to avoid overeating, too.
It can be. You're more aware of what you're consuming.
Right. So the key is to be present,
Yes.
no matter what you're doing.
Even something as simple as washing the dishes.
Exactly. If you really focus on the feeling of the wire,
Yeah.
the smell of the soap, it can become a mindful experience.
Mm.
It sounds almost too simple.
I know. But that's kind of the point.
Okay, so mindfulness isn't about doing something complicated.
No, it's about shifting your awareness.
And the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Exactly. Like anything else, it takes practice.
But the benefits are worth it.
Definitely. We've talked about how mindfulness can reduce stress,
Right.
improve focus,
Yeah.
and even make you more resilient.
So how do we get started? What are some practical tips?
Well, I think the most important thing is to just start somewhere. Even just 5 minutes a day can make a difference.
And it doesn't have to be perfect.
No, don't worry about doing it right. Just be open to the experience.
I think a lot of people get hung up on that.
They do. They think they have to be perfect, but that's not the point.
So just start small.
Exactly. And be patient with yourself.
It's a journey.
It is. And it's different for everyone.
So find what works for you.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do this alone.
Right. There are lots of resources out there.
Yeah. There are groups, classes, apps. You can connect with other people who are practicing mindfulness.
It's a whole community.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's a very supportive one.
So to wrap things up, what's the one thing you want listeners to take away from this deep dive?
I would say the most important thing is to just try it.
Uh-huh.
Give it a shot. You might be surprised at how much it helps.
Yeah. You never know until you try.
And remember, mindfulness isn't a magic solution.
Right.
It takes effort and commitment. But I really believe the benefits are worth it.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
It was my pleasure.
This has been a fascinating look at mindfulness,
I hope so.
and I hope our listeners feel inspired to give it a try.
I hope so too.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into mindfulness.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be back next week with another deep dive into a new topic. Until then, stay curious.